This is the fourth in a series of videos specifically directed to athletes who are struggling with performance problems, choking under pressure, being in slumps, easily getting psyched out and intimidated. And what I'd like to talk about today is strategies for during performance. What I've said in the past is when your nervous system gets activated and you have time pre-performance, then what we want you doing is tracking the physiological signs. And we do that because when you go after the physical signs that you're getting amped up, frustrated, angry, scared, nervous, if you track those, follow those with curiosity, within a couple of minutes what goes up usually comes down. But we don't always have that kind of time. And frequently, right before the start of a race, right before a match, in the middle of a match, there are times we get really amped up. And I want to address some strategies that you can use when you don't have time to track, when your focus needs to be elsewhere. I'm Dr. Alan Goldberg. I'm a sports performance consultant, and I work with athletes across every sport, at every level, on helping them overcome fears, blocks, and perform to their potential. And again, what we're going to talk about today are during performance strategies. So one of the things I'd like to start with is what happens when an athlete gets angry or frustrated. And when that's going on, when you're frustrated or impatient or angry, your nervous system is actually up into a state of fight. And that's a biological state. It's kind of like when our self-protective motor programs kick in. That's fight or flight. Our trained skills get kicked offline, and therefore we lose control of our performance. So when you start noticing signs that you're going into fight, impatience, annoyance, frustration, getting really angry with yourself, and you have a little bit of time, like you're on the bench, say there's a timeout. One of the things you can do is you can try to engage that fight response. And one way of doing that is, and you can do this stuff without people going, oh, look at what he's doing. You do this fist squeeze technique. And the way that works is, let's say I'm getting really upset with myself. I just made a mistake. I made an error. I'm going to tighten my fist. And for about 5 seconds, I'm going to focus on the physical signs of the tightness. And then deliberately and slowly, I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to focus on the change and the signs of relaxation. And then I'm going to do it again for another 4 or 5 seconds. And then I'm going to release it and focus on the change. And I'm going to do a sequence of 3 of those. And then I'm going to check back inside with how frustrated or angry am I still. And if I have a little bit of time, again, you're on the bench, there's a timeout. If I have a little bit more time, I might do another sequence of 3. So one way of bringing a fight response down is letting yourself feel it and then go from physical tightness to looseness, physical tightness to looseness. Another way of doing that is you could be sitting on the bench and you can be really upset, and what you want to do is push your feet down really hard. Okay, and again, people won't know you're doing this. You want to tighten your legs, you want to tighten your calves, your quads, and really push down and feel the physical pressing down. And you can even allow emotions to come into that, the anger, and then release it and then do it again. And paradoxically, when you're nervous, whether you're tight, when you're angry, and you deliberately tighten up that part of your body and then let it go, it helps trigger a release for us. So this is when you're feeling frustrated or impatient. These are strategies to be used for that fight response. Let's say you're really nervous. Let's say you're really scared and you want this over with. You're in flight. And one of the ways of doing that, and again, you need a little bit of time, not not the kind of time you'd need if you were going to be tracking. If I'm sitting on the bench or there's a timeout, what I might do if I'm starting to feel that fear is I might put it in my legs. And, I might start moving my legs. But you don't want to just do it mindlessly. You almost want to imagine, okay, I don't like this situation. I want to get out of here, and I want to run. Now, obviously, in the middle of a game, middle of a match or something, you can't exit stage left. You can't run. But you can do that if there's a break. You can do that in your body and really assign a meaning to it, like I'm leaving. And sometimes what I'll have athletes do is imagine that they're running to a safe place. Okay? And this is a really effective strategy if you're feeling fear and you can't do much with it. And you see athletes all the time on the bench. They're moving around. What we're talking about doing here is assigning a meaning to it. Another quick strategy, if you're feeling activated, you're feeling nervous, you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling angry, you're feeling any signs of fight or flight, is to do what's called orienting. Okay? And what orienting is what all mammals do in the wild to know that they're safe. And what orienting consists of is I'm going to turn my focus outward to the external environment. I'm going to use all of my senses, sight, smell, hearing, even feel if that's appropriate, and I'm going to focus on putting those senses outward. Okay, so I might, if I'm sitting on the bench or I have a little bit of time before I have to perform, I'm going to let my eyes track around my space. And the trick with this is to find something that attracts your attention, but we want to only orient to neutral things. If I focus on my opponents and that freaks me out, you don't want to orient to your opponents. You want to orient to something in the environment that's neutral. A tree, a fence, a cloud in the sky. And this is a really effective strategy to use even when you don't have a lot of time. You have 5 seconds, 10 seconds, try to feel your feet on the ground, let your eyes focus on it. If you can smell freshly cut grass, you focus on that. And a lot of people think, you're just distracting yourself from your thoughts. And on some level that's true, but this has a much more powerful biological meaning because we are mammals and we're governed by our biology. And the way we know we're safe in any environment is by connecting to it. Now, when you're in the middle of a performance, you don't even have time to do the other things I'm talking about, the fist squeeze, the pressing down, even the orienting. And when you're in the middle of the performance, the rule of thumb, if you want to perform your best, is you have to get your focus of concentration on the action, on what you're doing versus what you're thinking. See, when you as an athlete pay attention to your thoughts while you're trying to perform, you're going to get anxious. Your nervous system's going to jack up into the danger zone, and you're going to be distracting yourself from the really important, subtle, moment-by-moment cues that come at you when you're performing. We need your focus outward on the action, not inward on your thoughts. Now, for some athletes, that focus is on feel. If I'm a swimmer, I might focus on how much water I'm pulling, the feel of that, my tempo. I might focus on keeping my hips up. And in other sports, if I'm a gymnast, I'm a cheerleader, and I might be focusing on the feeling in my body of doing it correctly. Other sports, ball sports, your focus needs to be more out on the action, meaning seeing, reading, reacting. I see what's in front of me, the ball, the lineup of my teammates, the lineup of the opponents. I instinctively read it and I react. No thinking involved, happens in a nanosecond, but my focus is external. So one of the key peak performance strategies, if you are struggling with a performance problem, is to get your focus during the action, right before it and then during it, on what you're doing, not on what you're thinking. Now, I understand, easier said than done, and we know thoughts are going to come up, and that's not a problem. Your job is, when thoughts do come up, you want to quickly notice that you're thinking, bring your focus back to what you're doing, back to the action. And if you have to do that every 30, 40 seconds, every minute and a half, 2 minutes, so be it. As long as you keep bringing your focus back to the doing, to the action, you will stay calm, and you will stay confident, and you will perform to your potential. You'll get into trouble, though, if the thoughts pop up and you begin to focus on them. You begin to follow them. This takes practice. This is a very important learned skill. The more you work on it, the better you're going to get at it. But it's very important that you have an awareness of when you're getting activated, and that you take steps. If you're about to perform or in the middle of a performance, you take steps to pay attention to the things that will settle you. And what will always settle you is keeping your concentration on the doing and away from the thinking. Now, if you found this video helpful, sign up for my YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon. We'll let you know when new videos pop up. Give me your feedback. Give me your comments. It's always useful for me to know that I'm relevant and I'm speaking to the audience and things that they want to hear about. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.